Hey, what's up? I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to talk about a few different things that are going to interconnect very nicely. So on the screen is a picture I took a few nights ago on the phone, and what you see on the screen, you've got the moon, you've got Venus, and you've got Mercury. And seeing all those planets near each other in the sky, I love that. It's so cool. And this is really why this is the best time of the year to study astrology. Because if you really want to be a good astrologer, you need to forge a connection with the heavenly bodies, which means you have to be outside to do that. You got to freaking go outside and look at it. If you have your nose in books all day and you're doing nothing but read, 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 that's good. You'll be an excellent study. But to really get it, you got to go outside and freaking look at it. Look at God's creation, the heavens. And, well, why is this a great time of the year? A couple reasons. It's nice outside. It's warm. I hate the cold. So going outside to stargaze in the winter, you gotta bundle. At least I have to bundle up. It's a pain in the butt. I genuinely love warm weather. So I love this time of the year, right? The argument could be made that, well, you get more darkness during the winter time, so the winter is a better time to study the stars. And sure, if you don't mind the cold, God bless. The winter's great. But what's so cool about the summer solstice is it's going to teach you the ecliptic. So what I recommend you do it for a year straight if you can, or whenever you can. But if you do it at least a couple times a week, you'll be great and you'll understand the ecliptic so thoroughly, so much more than almost anybody else. What you want to do is watch the sunrise. And what's cool is if you're watching the sunrise, you're looking east, right? So the sun, well, if you're looking east, then to your left is north and to your right is south. So right now, the sun is almost as far north as it's ever going to be. That's the Tropic of Cancer. The sun hits Cancer, the Tropic of Cancer, and then starts going south again. Funnily enough, right, the sun goes north and then starts going backward in the sign of the crab, and crabs walk backward. Very fun Cancer connection there. But if you watch the sunrise around this time of the year, the sun's going to be as far left as it's ever going to be. And then around Christmas time, when the sun is in the Tropic of Capricorn, then the sun's going to be as far to the right. It's going to be so far away and so far south during Capricorn. And you'll see every year the sun just bounce back and forth between Cancer and Capricorn, Cancer and Capricorn. Now, this is a very obvious thing we learn, but then really seeing it for yourself and then seeing how every other heavenly body, wandering star, wandering planet, they all bounce back and forth roughly between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. And this is what we're dealing with when we're talking about classical tropical astrology. And that's why this is tropical astrology, which, if you understand this, you'll never fall for the 13 signs psyop. There are 12 signs in astrology, not 13. Ophiuchus is a deacon of Scorpio. That's just nonsense. Understanding that tropical astrology is a north to south science is so important. And that's why the Vedics get it entirely wrong, because the Vedics measure east to west slippage, which is cool. But what that is, that judges the the great year and the age that we're in, which is another thing. We are not in the age of Aquarius. On the spring equinox, the sun is still rising physically, sidereally in Pisces. The idea that we're in the age of Aquarius once again goes back to theosophists, and that's why I'm on such a crusade against theosophy and Blavatsky and all that garbage, because they put forth so many bad ideas. Do I love many theosophical writers? Sure. But did they also poison the well in a lot of ways? Yes, they absolutely did. That's why, again, you want to look at the ecliptic, watch the sunrise every day for a year, and you will see Cancer and Capricorn as these physical locations in the sky, north to south, and then everything in between, right? Aries and Libra, they're both on the equator, but the difference between Aries and Libra is that, well, one's going north, one's going south, right? When the sun is in Aries, it's moving north. North is an anagram of throne. So it's moving toward the throne of God, Polaris, the center. And then in Libra, well, the sun's going south, outward, toward hell. Hell is frozen over. That's why winter is inverno or invierno in the Romance languages. And of course, inverno, you have inverse, right? So winter is the inverse of summer. Summer, everything's good and growing and beautiful and happy. In the winter, sad, depressing, sickness, drudgery, restriction. That it's very Saturnian, the winter. That's why Saturn rules 2 winter signs. Because it's about restriction, right? You have to grow your harvest during the summer and then restrict your eating to make sure you make it through the winter if you were living a more natural life. These things are very obvious, and the study of astrology can teach you all of these things, right? Astrology is more than just looking at birth charts or looking at horary charts. By the way, if you want a reading, go to wisewizardmerlin.com. That's our sponsor today. Me, if you're looking for a reading, head to my website. That's going to be in the description below. But tropical astrology is the study of the seasons, the study of nature, and how it all interconnects. It truly is as above, so below. When you understand that these myths have parallel structures above and below, and within and without, then you can start making these connections that really will enhance your understanding of this realm which we inhabit. So, yeah, and what's cool is we're going to watch this Jake Shields video here in a minute, or at least part of it, not the whole thing. But on the screen here, or rather up here, this is Venus. And Jake's going to talk about Luciferianism. And just keep in mind how bright Venus is. Venus is the 3rd brightest heavenly body. The sun is obviously the brightest heavenly body. And then the moon is 2nd in luminosity. And then Venus is 3rd. So Venus is super bright. So right now, this is Venus before she goes retrograde, and she's setting after the sun. When Venus goes retrograde, she will eventually rise before the sun. And that is Lucifer. Lucifer is Venus when she rises before the sun. You can look this up and check out the etymology of the word Lucifer. You will see this confirmed there. This is confirmed in any good astrological work talking about what Lucifer actually is. It's Venus. Now, I am definitely not giving my stamp of approval on Luciferianism, but if you understand what Venus is, or rather what Lucifer is, which is Venus when she has finished going retrograde, then you will understand what Luciferianism is, because retrograde is a debility. It's not a good thing when a planet goes retrograde. So there's a lot to that, right? It's like a corrupt Venus. And then also, that's why Lucifer is the false light. Lucifer is the light bringer, the false light. So look at how bright Venus is there. So think about that, right? It's literally the light that rises before the sun when Venus has gone retrograde. So, the Son of God, the sun, is incredible. It's the ruler of this world. It is the giver of life and light and wisdom. And when Venus rises before, there's this, symbolical audacity in Venus. Oh, Venus, you think you're so bright and powerful? How dare you shine so brightly before the sun? You're not the real light of this world. You're the false light. And that's it. Like that's the Venus Lucifer connection. But if you think about what a corrupt Venus would do, we're going to watch this video in a second about the Luciferian connections to NASA. And that's why Luciferians, they do corrupt sex rituals. you know they're perverted, they're disgusting, and that is Luciferianism. It's a corrupt Venus. When you understand this, it all clicks and makes perfect sense.
Today we're going to do a quick video on Aleister Crowley, known as the world's weirdest man. This is going to be a really quick intro. If you guys have more interest, I'll do more in depth in the future. So this video I found on Instagram from Blunts for Jesus. I don't know who made the content, unfortunately, but go ahead and play it.
Aleister Crowley, the man who called himself the Beast 666, black magician, drug fiend, sex addict. The British press called Crowley the wickedest man in the world. It was
So there we go. Drug fiend, sex addict, Luciferianism, a corrupt Venus.
at Cambridge that Crowley first became fascinated with
More of a, in this professional, I think it was more of a god or demon. It was an old Egyptian god, actually. And people will start noticing, if you look at all these weird characters, they're very often talking to old ancient Egyptian gods.
Being, through his wife, kind of a channeling type operation, brought forth a book that was called the Book of the Law.
The Book of the Law is the Bible of the religion Crowley was endeavoring to found.
This is a book people take very seriously. It's well studied. This guy was one of the most famous people in the time, also a Mason, 33rd degree. You'll start noticing a pattern of all these important people being 33rd degree Masons, something I find a little odd.
Yeah, and I've read the Book of the Law. I've read a lot of Crowley's work, almost all of it. I've read 666, Moonchild, the Book of the Law, the General Principles of Astrology, and I think that's it for Crowley. But still, more Crowley than most. The Book of the Law is a weird fucking book, you know? Um, and again, just because you read something doesn't mean you endorse something. Back in the day when I was like super on like a political crusade and I was like anti-communist, you know, back in my probably 2017 Jordan Peterson era when he's like, oh, it's the postmodernist. I read Capital and the Communist Manifesto, not because I was a fucking commie, but because I wanted to know what my enemies were into and what they thought, you know? So it's a good idea to read things even if you don't agree with them. It's like, and again, like, so I've read Capital and the Communist Manifesto, therefore I know way more about Marxism than most Marxists. You know, like, think about your average limp-wristed leftist. They've not read those fucking books. They're huge. They're so huge and they're difficult. So most people don't, you know, it's like doing what's difficult is I think a very good and noble thing. But yeah, I've read most of Crowley not because I endorse Luciferianism, but because I want to know what it's really about. And I can tell you, the Book of the Law, it's like, it's interesting. Like, the first half has like a lot of like good gravy, and then it's so weird. Like, this, like, the book literally turns and gets so dark and becomes way more difficult to comprehend. And yeah, and what's interesting about Crowley is whenever he writes like a letter or anything, he will sign it. He will say love above all. And again, Luciferianism, Venus, love. Love will be the law. These are all Crowley ideas. So it's a worship of the planet Venus, which is a benefic planet, but it's worshiping a corrupted Venus, elevating a corrupted Venus. That's Luciferianism. So it's like receiving the corrupt blessings of the planet Venus. It's ceremonial magic. It is real, which is why very powerful people, as you'll see here in a moment, take it very seriously. Like, you might think, oh, there's no such thing as magic. That's pulling the rabbit out of the hat, or this, that, or the other. No, ceremonial magic and real magic is timing with the heavenly bodies to produce a result down here, as above, so below. Understanding that, you can channel those energies and get results essentially, as long as you're doing the as whatever. There's a lot to it. I'm not going to explain fucking the theory of magic in this video, but it's real.
Founded a new religion. He called it Thelema, a Greek word meaning desire. It was based on the teachings found in the Book of the Law and promoted a life of hedonism and radical
British intelligence. So this guy is talking to these demons, high-level intelligence, and whether you believe he's summoning these demons or not, that's for you to decide. I'm not telling you what to think there, but you notice lots of these elites, they are deeply into it and believe it and are doing it. And you even see the same patterns. Even like Epstein, he had a temple and he was buying all these most prestigious religious artifacts, both Christianity and Islam. So these patterns are at least worth noting what the elites are doing.
Exactly. Like, you may think, or most people think, oh, magic is nonsense. We live in a world of bumping particles and atoms and shit like that. And when in reality, the people who are the big players in the world, they're using magic, but they're using it for evil. I am an advocate of using magic for good, or at least understanding it. And if you think, oh, I'll never participate in magic, well, do you celebrate Christmas? Because that's ceremonial magic. Sorry, but it literally is. Oh, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Everything's magical. It's the most magical time of the year. Yeah, when the sun is at its lowest point during the winter solstice. Maybe there's a
Of sex magic, but lots of the darkest stuff involves like children, virgins, abusing them that are young. So it can get very dark.
Leader of his own group, and they would have huge
again, corrupted sex, corrupted Venus, Venus retrograde, Lucifer. And this is why we make these connections as astrologers, that a planet in retrograde is a debility, because look at what Venus can produce when worshipped in her retrograde, her degraded, when she has the audacity, or he has the audacity to rise before the sun, which is why Lucifer is so androgynous, right? God, and again, what's Lucifer called? God's most beautiful angel? This, and like, people conflate Lucifer with Satan. A lot of biblical scholars do this too. Lucifer and Satan are entirely different entities. They're not the same entity. Satan is Saturn, Lucifer is Venus retrograde, and there is a distinct difference. God's most beautiful angel, does that sound more like Venus, or does that sound more like old man time, Saturn? Truly, it's not difficult when you understand astrology properly.
sex magic orgies at his mansion in Pasadena.
Hey guys, I want to introduce you to one of our sponsors, Antelope Hill Publishing. Antelope Hill publishes books such as Culture of Critique by Dr. Kevin McDonald, who's someone I've interviewed on my show. He talks about the evolutionary strategy of the chosen people. So go to antelopehillpublishing.com and use promo code FIGHTBACK to support the podcast and get a discount. That's antelopehillpublishing.com and promo code FIGHTBACK.
And real quick, shout out Jake Shields' podcast. If you've not subscribed, it's got plenty of good episodes. A lot of people who know my channel found me through Old World Florida. Jake has done tons of episodes with Longo, or not tons, but 2 podcasts with Longo now, tons of clips, lots of good gravy there. So if you've not subscribed to Jake's podcast, I highly recommend it. He's a good dude, and yeah.
At one of Jack Parsons' meetings, he met a science fiction writer named L. Ron Hubbard.
This is someone else who I need to look into. I haven't really done much research into Scientology, but I know they're they have a reputation at least for being a very strange cult. So it's interesting to see that L. Ron Hubbard was very close to Aleister Crowley.
Does anyone else remember when Scientology was really under fire in like 2008? Maybe 2007. Man, that was a very interesting time. The internet was all over Scientology for like a year straight, and then they just kind of faded. Like, Scientology used to be thought of as like the most evil thing out there, and now people are aware of so much more. But man, they got heat back in '07, and I think there was like a Louis Theroux documentary, and there were all sorts of internet forums that were like crusading against Scientology. And this is on the heels of that crazy Tom Cruise interview where he was like jumping around. But dude, if you look back at that interview, Tom Cruise was on some shit back then. He was definitely spitting some truth while following the false religion of Scientology. Pretty fucking interesting.
I'm going to guess and say that he's a Freemason.
Jack Parsons was joined by L. Ron Hubbard. 2 of them embarked on the Babylon working ritual. It was a series of rituals that was designed to incarnate the spirit of Babylon into human form, ultimately aiming to birth the so-called Moon Child, a magical child that would herald in a new dawn of humanity.
Some people suggest that, Parsons and Hubbard opened the door and something flew in.
So they spent months sitting there trying to summon this demon. It wasn't like a couple of days. These power people were like months doing that. Someone told me he lost a child in ritual. I need to look that up and confirm that because that's such a serious allegation. But they take these rituals very serious. People that are running NASA trying to talk to aliens and stuff are also summoning demons and taking their ritual seriously. And I don't know what to make of this. I'm not telling you what to make of it, but this is odd.
Wow, she looks just like her sister.
Edited, so I guess
So, yeah. Thanks to Jake. Thanks for the guy on Instagram for putting that together. Blunts for Jesus _ Check him out on Instagram, I guess. And yeah, I hope that is a more comprehensive view of what Lucifer is, what Luciferianism is. And again, this is not a endorsement of Luciferianism at all, but it's important to understand what is, right? If you have enemies, you want to accurately understand what they believe. And just thinking that Lucifer is the devil, is Satan, is patently untrue. Lucifer, once again, is Venus in a debilitated retrograde state, rising with the audacity before the sun to be the false light of the morning. This is why Lucifer is the morning star. And just a quick video game connection. If you ever play a video game, why can clerics and paladins, these holy warriors, why can they wield a morning star? It's the weapon, the morning star, a spiked flail. Whenever you see spikes, it represents like solar rays. That's why Jesus wears the crown of thorns, because, well, the thorns are hurting his solar rays, and the morning star is a spiked, ball essentially, and that those spikes are the rays of Venus, these the light coming off of the false light of the morning. So that's what's up. I hope you found this useful. I hope you found it interesting. If you need a reading, please, or if you're interested in astrology readings in general, check out my website, wisewizardmerlin.com. I appreciate any likes or hypes, and if you're not yet subscribed, I hope that this is the video that earns your subscription. And on that note, peace out.